Greenpeace started a while ago when I realized that I felt that as theater artists we needed to do something in regards to awakening all of us to the problems with the environment, the physical environment, our world, global warming and species disappearing and rainforest problems, etc., etc. So I conceived the idea probably a year and a half ago to create an environmental piece that utilized international folktales as the source material from which to work. And over the period of time that I've been working on it, it's really expanded. I got what's called a scholarly creative grant this past summer to do a lot of research, and then I also got Olivia Trevino, who's an undergrad, who's assistant directing a provost summer stipend. So this summer, she and I have been madly researching all kinds of organizations, environmental scientists, artists, etc., with the knowledge that the more we knew as artists about the world around us from a scientific point of view, as well as an artistic point of view, the more we would have to share and say. So we sent out about 100 letters to all of these people, and in the meantime, they've been responding. And in conjunction with our rehearsal process, we have a class that I put together. And now what's happening in class is I'm having all these people come in as guest lecturers, and we're also doing field trips, which has been actually really fun. And again, the intention is that as artists, the more we know, the better off we are. And meanwhile, so that's one thing that's been happening. Then this past summer, I also had a workshop with many members of the company, not all because it was during the summer, but I would say about 20 of the 30 actors were available, as well as Christian Estrada, who is our stage manager, and Olivia. And we had a 4-day workshop where we started talking a little bit about physical vocabulary for the show, but we also started looking at folktales and talking about what the folktales meant. And then we also spent some time really talking about what the world means to us and what our preoccupations are, or theirs are, as the younger generation, and then I include my own as the younger generation. So we established more or less how we wanted the show to go in regards to point of view, which is really always, as far as I'm concerned, critical. And the other thing we established was a passion for the material as theater artists and as a company, which is also really important in my point of view. We actually begin rehearsals tonight, and what I have done since the summer to now is I've crafted a story outline. I chose very specific stories that take us from creation to present day. So I'm freely adapting the stories. They're stories from all over the world. We begin actually with an African dance, which is an honoring of the earth dance, and then welcoming into the space with another African dance. Then we begin in the theater space itself with an Aboriginal creation myth, and I'm using that myth to create our world of the play so that all the rest of the stories are created in that first story. And then we move on to an Iroquois story that has to do with one person's reverence for nature and how, because of their honoring of nature, they are rewarded. And I won't go into that anymore. And then we go to what is a factual story from India 300 years ago, where a woman from the Bishnoi sect, which is an environmental, sacred, religious sect in India, sacrificed herself so that they wouldn't cut down the trees, because the Maharaja wanted to cut down the trees for his palace. And ultimately what happened was 363 people were murdered and killed by his men, at which point he heard of it and came and declared that this would never happen again and this land was sacred. And they are really the one culture that has, through time, really kept to their environmental ideals. And then we go to Japan during whaling time, late 1800, early 1900, to a story of a whaler, which is also a huge environmental issue right now. Then we go to Upper Alaska to Inuit story, and then we finally end in the Amazon. And what holds all these stories together is that an individual, despite politics and social pressure and all of that stuff, decides to make a difference and thwarts authority, if you will, and in thwarting that authority changes the outcome from what was inevitably negative to something very positive. So we are ending the play, because I'm an eternal optimist, on a very positive note that we as individuals can affect change, and we as individuals can work with our community to affect change, and ultimately those in power, hopefully, if we are strong enough and determined enough, will change. So the other thing that we're doing for Greenpeace is some of the same people who are coming to class are going to speak on panels. I've arranged 3 post-play symposium panels for after the production. One's an environmental artist panel, one's an environmental scientist, and one's an environmental organization leader panel, so that the audience also gets to hear from their perspective, so that they're, in a short little amount of time, educated in the same way that the company members were educated. And then this is also going out into the community in the spring. We're touring parts of the show to different places. Some are environmental places, some are schools, etc., and also leading some workshops about how to take things that are of importance in our society and speak through the arts. So it's a very big process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.